Still
Okay,
worried.
okay,
Yeah,
okay. Yes.
I don't know why the resolution is like this, but if you're okay with it, hey, we can go along with it. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Now we are online. Okay, we are online. This is
Okay.
the yeah. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be here with my big brother, the
Yeah.
ambassador of Hall of Fame and Grandmaster of Serrada Escrima. And for me, is the the founder of Legacy. So a lot of things, a lot of title, a lot of very important person. I am here. I
Yeah.
am very happy to be here now with Grandmaster Darren. So how are you, Master? Huh?
Very good. Very good. I
I know, I
just
know.
do what I do in the morning. Wake up in the morning, try to get a workout, stretch out, that kind of thing, and get some
Yeah,
exercise going, pick up a stick or a blade, and go through my movements.
I know. Yeah,
It's everyday life. You know.
yeah, yeah. You have a lot of things to do, but
Yeah.
I know. Today for me it's fantastic day because for the first point is that European legacy and American legacy now is
Yes.
together in one moment. You see, I am so happy
Yes.
for this because a lot of masters are in this interview too because you represent a lot of masters, so I am happy because
Fantastic.
long time ago the history, that we are staying in touch
Yeah,
on
we
Facebook on.
figure Legacy One was what, almost 9 years ago? It's almost
Yeah,
9 years ago. So me and you began communicating, I believe, around 2010, 11 on Facebook. And then we just started talking about our history, our training, our teachers. And from that, then you showed up to Stockton Legacy, and we had a phenomenal time. You got to experience the first one, and the sad thing about it is how many people have passed away since the first one. You know, uh,
yeah,
just in this past couple of weeks, not counting all the people that have passed away that have been in the legacy, you
yeah,
know. But I'd like to mention, Gian Rene Latosa. He's hopefully he got a kidney, and I hope he pulls through. I hope he gets strong. I'd love to see him again. Consider
yeah,
him a very good friend. It's kind of
yeah,
like a big brother to me. You know, but looking back at legacy and all the friends that you've made, and we've all seen pass away. It's
yeah,
just you're sad about it, but at the same time, you're honored by it that you got to share something. You know, and I
yes,
think that's became one of the most sentimental is getting to work with so many different people like-minded and wanting to come together and be a part of something representing our grandmasters. And I don't think it could get any bigger than that because it's just not about the Escrima, but it's about your teacher's
yes.
lineage, and it gives you an opportunity to share that,
Absolutely,
you know.
absolutely. So it's yeah, there are a lot of masters, a lot of grandmasters passing
Yes.
away.
And there's
I know,
one
I know.
more. There's a few more I'd like to mention too. Late Grandmaster Alfredo Bonalon passed away a couple of weeks ago. And, that's very sad. I had the opportunity to work with him, 25 years ago and see him at tournaments, back then. And we had
Wow.
formed the original Northern Cow. It was Grandmaster Max Palin, Grandmaster Bonalon, and Grandmaster John Bias, and myself. We came together
Yes, yes,
to form the Northern Cow. It lasted, a little bit. We got to come together and fight in the Week If tournament in Carson back in, I think, 96. And then we collaborated in supporting the tournaments, of that San Francisco region. And was a great thing, and it was a great learning experience for me. Okay, to see the weak F, and then what Northern Cal did is we put together a ruling on continuous pad, and that I really enjoyed that. You know, Stockton Coalition had the coalition style tournament point, which was great, you know, and Angels Disciples supported that. But when Jim Palin introduced continuous pad, and we all came together, you know, and try to create rules for that specific tournament division, that really opened it up for me. Also, you know, with the past and the people that provided opportunity for me to learn the way, you know, they wanted to represent their FMAs, it was a huge stepping stone back in the 90s, the mid 90s for me to pursue what I'd done, you know, later on with the USFMAF. So life is a learning process. And through meeting people, you form your own way. And I have the opportunity to do that. And I'm happy for it.
Me too, because you represent for me is a mentor, you know, because you change the mentality of the people. Because the people before say what is good or wrong. You destroy this what is good or wrong, because you put in the mind of the people the way of sharing, the way of no have fear to share what but, they know.
One thing I realized, bro, is when late Grandmaster passed away, I was only in my mid 27, 28 years old. I was young. So when me and Master Jerry Preciado, we came together, and one day Master Jerry called me up and he goes, "Hey, I talked to Gong Li." I said, "Really?" He goes, "Hey, he offered us a Sunday class." I said, "Really?" I said, "That'd be great. That'd be great." But when we put the word out that we were going to do this, several of the other Serrada masters did come. And for that time and running a class there and getting to see each other, because when Angel died, that was a huge loss for us. You know, it was our place to go and train. And then when he passed away, things kind of went different directions, I think, individually for all of us, you know. But here it is over 30 years later, you know. Angels Disciples is still around, you know, and a lot of great memories, a lot of great events that I'm going to continue to do. But, you know, life's a learning process. Got your ups and downs. It comes down to what's here. You're going to hit roadblocks no matter what you do. You're going to have naysayers no matter what you do. You're going to have haters. But as us, as men, we call ourselves Escrimadors. Come what may, right? We just do what we do.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
You know, I think back because so much time has gone by, and it was fun being the student. It was fun being the student of late Grandmaster Angel Caballas, you know, and due to the fact that he started teaching in '66, and I've heard even earlier, but when he commercialized it was '66. You know, you look at that age gap, you know, and then experiencing 30 years teaching my own organization, kind of look at Angel and where he was, you know, where he was in '66, where was his mind at in '66, in '70, you know, 75, 80. And then I look at it, I started with Jerry Preciado, 1991, 2021. And I kind of reflect on a lot of the conversations me and late Grandmaster Angel Caballas had. And it becomes a cycle. It was his cycle. Other Escrimadors coming around. And, you know, we could kind of reflect how we taught in the beginning. When we first opened up, all we really cared about was tournament fighting at that time. So the kind of students we recruited were Master Preciado's nephews, my nephews, my workplace. And one thing we noticed, all of our students or relatives that played football or ran track or did any kind of contact sport, them were the kind of people that we attracted to our organization. But when you take a football player, that's somebody that been playing Pop Warner like my son since he was 7, 8 years old, all the way to varsity high school, yeah, a lot of people gotta realize what how an athlete trains, okay, for football, volleyball, okay? You understand that.
Yeah, I know.
You know, you understand this.
Yes,
and when you combine knowledge and a set of rules to go by, and your students have that aptitude to absorb knowledge plus be in that kind of shape, you develop some really good fighters. Really good fighters.
Fantastic.
You know, that's like the evolution of Angel's disciples. We really wanted to tournament fight, but in doing so, we had the opportunity to meet so many great people. You know, and it's sad, but so many have passed away. You know, that represented the system of Stockton, California.
You know? We will talk about also the tournament. But now I would like to ask you a big question. Big question. Because for me it's very, very important. About the lineage of Serrada Escrima. Because it's very, very, very interesting. So I would like to ask you now about the lineage of Serrada Escrima.
The history of Serrada Escrima?
Yes, the lineage of Serrada, the history of the lineage of Serrada, please.
I look at Serrada Escrima. You know, one could look back at the Wiley book or the Danny and Asano books, and you look at all of this. And we all read them. We all read these books. But you know, one thing I found out, and that's communicating, you know, with fellow masters of Serrada Escrima, there's a lot of information that maybe wasn't mentioned. And, you know, I've been privileged to learn a lot about Serrada Escrima in lineage, say from late Grandmaster Angel Cabales, his teacher, Felicissimo Gizon. And, you know, there exists recordings that kind of contradict what is written in a lot of books. But, you know, we only know what we read about. But there is recordings that exist that I've listened to. And it somewhat contradicts what you see, you know, on a lot of posts on Facebook, a lot of groups. And, you know, I've seen people bring up certain areas of the Philippines, what they felt Gizon came from. But, you know, are the myths of the fight he had with the Moral Prince. But I've been privileged to be shared recordings that contradict many of the stories that we have read about. And I notice one thing too is dates of birth, ages. And, you know, a lot of people don't realize that like Grandmaster Angel Cabales was the same age category as Grandmaster Mina. You wouldn't have known it because in a lot of groups, a lot of books, Angel's spoken about as a young kid. But then again, when you take a 17, 18-year-old athlete, they're at the prime of their life.
Yeah.
So due to the kind of knowledge Felicissimo Gizon shared with Angel Cabales, you know,
yeah,
that's pretty amazing, you know.
Yeah, of course.
But you know, looking at past books I've read or information I've been privileged to see on a lot of groups of historians writing this and writing that, and even meeting the same people which I'm talking about, Tatang Illustrissimo, Grandmaster Mina, okay? These guys, a lot of people have taken information of what they've said, but I think what it comes down to, how close were they with these old men to be privileged to hear what they really want to be honest about? Were they
Yes.
privileged to listen?
Yes.
And I feel I've got a brother that was privileged, that went to the Philippines, and he was tested in many ways that I've never heard other writers say they were tested. Okay, so, he didn't go to the Philippines to learn from nobody. I'm gonna go up there.
Yes.
I want to learn. I want to learn. I want to write. I want to write. But what he did do is he brought back Kabbalah Serrada, and he demonstrated Kabbalah Serrada to a whole society of Escrimadors, and with that came privileged information. You see.
Yes.
So you read books, okay. You get on posts and you listen to what people have to say. Okay, I get it. But I think even though some were there, I think some of these writers never truly got in the heart of some of the old grandmasters up there to open up and talk about Philosophe Tibon. I've been privileged to listen to recordings of Tatang Illustrissimo, Grandmaster Mina. I've even got to listen to Villabrea on recording. And you'll notice one thing, all three of them are correct.
Great.
Wow, they're all saying one thing. Versus you might have read something from a first or second generation ambitious student that wrote. But, to be honored to get to listen to, a lot of recordings that contradict what a lot of people are saying out there. A lot of stuff never happened of what they say. Now, who do you believe? The old men that are sharing this? What a humble young master that went up there to represent his teacher and went through tests? Or are you going to listen to somebody that I don't think went through them tests, nor privileged to listen about Philosophe Tibon? But, bottom line, Philosophe Tibon, and I'll share this. That's all I'll share. His contemporary was Isla Roma. So the best I could tell anybody, if you understand who Isla Roma was, how hard would it be to know who Isla Roma was amongst at that time period?
Yes.
Do your research, get out there, talk to the right people. But I will share that Philosophe Tibon's contemporary was Isla Roma. And there's others, I won't share it. But then you look at the Romo family, late Jim Yuli Romo's father, and then you look at who was around at that time, who was in that era. People born in the late 1800s versus in the 1900s. So, when people talk about Tatang Illustrissimo and Tibon, people got to understand there's an age difference. Tibon was older than Tatang. If anything, Tatang's uncles and maybe Tatang's father, that was more of Tibon's era. And, I'll share another thing. And this is from listening to recordings. People bring up, okay, Philosophe Tibon's match against the Moral Prince.
Yes.
Well, coming from these old men, they say a different story. There was no blood. There was no winner or loser. It was a opening of the games of Dizon. He was his own. Okay, I've heard people talk about Dizon, man, that came from him. Angel Cabales might have trained with him. Felicissimo Dizon was his own, but it's the people that he collaborated with of his era. The only one he shared with, truly, from what I hear, like Grandmaster Angel Cabales. And another thing, people, they want to research deeper. Research the arts in the Philippines that have the 12 angles. Not the arts that added the 12 angles, let's say after 1975 or 80. I'm talking about going back to the 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s. We had 12 angles. So if people are that interested in Felicissimo Dizon, I think they should really research the 12 angle systems of the Philippines. Okay. Now, I've been privileged to be shared a lot of this information, and I'll only share minimal, but I will share that.
So great. I am happy because I like it. Because when you talk about the history, I am here like, very, very, big attention, because very important what you tell me now. Because fantastic history is incredible. Very, very important. So, for me, it's fantastic to share this moment, because the history, lineage.
I'm sure there's historians in the Philippines that have documented, a lot of the people of the Philippines, secret societies, Masonic, very private. Your lineage goes back to the Jesuit priests. Okay, I understand that, and that's known about. But and my own personal opinion, after listening to so much good information I've never heard before, my personal opinion, I feel Felicissimo Dizon, he might have probably trained further into Malaysia. And this is just me, okay? Wow. I feel he trained further in Malaysia with a lot of his knowledge of what he shared with late Grandmaster Angel Cabales. But, I've heard a lot of stories. People have said, oh no, Dizon, he must have came from Laguna, or he must have, came from that region. Listening to the recordings, I don't think so. And the knowledge of that has been shared with me. No, he wasn't up in that direction. People want to research Isla Roma and that circle of people of that era. I think they'd be way more correct. And, another thing, the training of Felicissimo Dizon. You hear people talk about, oh, he trained over here, he trained over there. But, here's more information that I was shared with. Sudlun Cebu. My teacher told me, I said, Angel, where did your teacher train? Trained in the caves of Sudlun. Oh, really? But if you read a lot of the books of people that talk about it, some of these writers contradict that story. But according to my brother that shares this information with me, when he went to the Philippines 92, 93, or 94, he was able to find the Sudlun Tunnel. Not only that, he was able to find writings of the tunnel. And just by word of mouth within Sudlun area, he got brought right to the caves. He entered the caves, and it was shrined with religious statues, and it was a place of prayer. So, you got hidden caverns and tunnels that I've literally witnessed mocking. People act like it's a joke. But for, I think, this era of Escrimadors, and due to the time frame they trained it, It's very real. It's in writing, documented. I think in the 40s, the Sudloon caves, gateway to Tondo. When you look at all the elder Escrimadores of the Philippines, look how many made their lives in Tondo. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's why I say, all these researchers that write this and write that, and I see arguments going on, heckling and jokes. I said, do your research. It's there, but maybe you never took the time to look for it. Evidently, my brother Sultan Uddin did, and he was able to find it easily. So, it is what it is. But when it comes down to it, we're all men. We believe what we're going to believe. But I believe in what's been shared with me because it makes too much sense.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, of course.
Like I say, the fight against the moral prince, that was an elder, man. Let's just say this. How it was explained to me and what I heard on recording, it was like Muhammad Ali in his 50s doing an exhibition fight with Roy Jones when Roy Jones is in his prime. They let the fight clash. Boom, they broke it up. They didn't declare no winner. Nobody got hurt. Now, when you hear three of these great, now deceased men on a recording, and they all say the same thing, I know who I'm going to believe. Okay?
Yes. Yes.
And what a lot of people don't realize is there's documented history, I believe, in 63. And Grandmaster Mina, you got Grandmaster Illustrissimo, you got Grandmaster Villabria, you got Felicissimo Dizon signatures on a document that they were to go to the Tokyo Games Olympics in 1963. It didn't happen, but there's witnesses of it. The late Master Shuk Galarga, he's a witness to this. He witnessed that. Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
I know people that have that. They have that documentation. But I think through time, what has happened is you take first and second generation students, and a lot of them are good writers, but are they writing truth? Are they writing fact? Were they even privileged to get to hear this from these old men? That's a whole different story,
Yes. Yeah, it's true.
So, you asked me about my lineage. I just shared with you what I'll share with you with Felicissimo Dizon from information I was given. Dizon had his own. Okay. Dizon had his own.
Fantastic.
He had his own art, what he built.
Yes.
And the Grandmasters on recording say that. They say that. Dizon had his own. So
fantastic.
I'm happy to share this with you or whoever's on board this podcast, but I'm about legacy. I'm about legacy. Look what we do. We're about legacy.
Yes.
I'm not trying to hurt nobody. I'm just trying to be factual of documented information and recordings that I know for a fact many of the people that are writing, I don't know if they got it or not, but if they do, write fact. Write about the facts. Don't try to elevate one art by lessening another art. Okay, don't do that.
Yeah.
And the way I believe and how I believe, when you do things like that, bad karma will come your way. I strongly believe that.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Very good. Okay. I have another question for you. Okay.
Yes.
This kind of I don't know what you think about when you see this. You know, we talk about the sparring now. Sparring.
What is that? A volleyball pole? I can't see it.
No, volleyball. No. This is from Cebu, very,
Okay.
long time ago, 2012,
Yeah.
in Cebu, there in the University of Cebu. There
Yeah.
it was the pad that they
Yeah.
use, the students use in order to, compare their style in the university.
Okay. Okay.
It's fun, but I would like to ask you what you think about sparring in Escrima, because for me it's very important, and the people want to know what
I think
you
it's
know.
very important. I think it's very important. Sparring is very important. Or I went to ran USFMAF for what, almost 7 years. I went to push and offered it with Disney Martial Art Festival, Long Beach International, Stockton Legacy tournaments. Or I would never have supported so many full contact tournaments, from 91 as my organization grew, very
Yeah,
important. You see, you could train all the drills or you could hit all the tires you want. When there's another man in front of you with a weapon, with a stick, with a baston, it's a whole different ballgame. Now, if your sports setting is to just stand there, no footwork, and hit each other and see who can hit the most with no defense, that's one thing. But my GM, Angel Cabales, he was about teaching dueling system, how to duel. And some of the point fighting today is good. But what I did with my federation is I allowed thrusting in all of my fight divisions. Uh, you could go to a lot of tournaments even today, and you'll notice even their padded full contact fighting, they're not allowed to thrust. I don't get that. It's made to protect and get the point across, which you know as well as I do. If you go to a tournament and all you're allowed to do is 4 strikes and an abanico, that makes 6 strikes, right?
yeah.
If that's it. I look at it this way. You think Lapu Lapu didn't stab? I don't think so. I don't think so. So we got to keep it real as we can. And that's why when I formed the United States Filipino Martial Art Federation, we included thrusting in every division, including live stick. We had live stick point, live stick continuous. Yes, we had rules, but our thrusting was below the chest, above the waist. If you got out of that area on one thrust, you'd be automatically disqualified. But what we did is we made it an elite division only.
Okay.
So high skill escrimadors that have good control would compete in this division. That would cause for less injury or no injury. And we also know etiquette too. So a lot of the elite divisions we allowed the thrusting, we created elite division, like a master's level division for it to happen. But that was my belief, and I had several people that supported that. And it can be done, because what it comes down to, I don't care what kind of rules you have in a tournament. If one of the fighters truly want to hurt somebody, he will hurt them. You know this. I don't care what tournament you go to. They will find a way to try to hurt somebody if that's their character. And it's not like I didn't witness that. I've witnessed it. But it's just keeping in the tournament scene, you got to keep honesty and integrity. I mean, you got to be really strong on that.
Absolutely.
And the way I ran my tournaments, I had 4 judges, 4 corner judges, 1 center. Center referee got the best seat in the house. He's watching it. He's following it. Some organizations, they don't let the center call. Why? Why don't they let the center call? That's ridiculous. Okay.
I remember
you got 5 judges. You got 5 judges. 3 out of 5 is awarded a point.
Okay.
We discontinued the 2 point for the head, 1 point for the hand. We discontinued that, and we went to 1 point for everything. Less confusion, less mistake.
Yes.
Or zero mistake. Just stay one. And I believe Bakken International use rules like that.
Yeah.
They had the opportunity to bring, a small team up there, and I like that. 1 point for everything. It uncomplicates things.
Yes.
1 point for
very good. I remember in Stockton. The tournament in Stockton.
Yeah.
When you organize it, that's fantastic. I remember in that time. Yeah. It's very good. Yeah. Okay. Now another question, because I'm a researcher. No, I'm studying not only my style, because we need to open our mind and continue research. And then I have seen that you practice in your style. Your student practice the kata in Escrima.
Yes.
When I saw this, I say, hey, it's incredible, because in San Miguel too. So I would like to ask you now, why you practice? Yeah, because for me it's fantastic, So
well, doing a lot of reading on martial arts in general worldwide. Some of the biggest Asian armies have forms. It's apparent. There's areas with brick yards in China where they train, or military train their forms, and they did it thousands and thousands of times till their feet literally shaped footprints throughout the whole training area. Okay, and we're talking about great armies of Asia. They trained their military forms, and then coming from Goju-Ryu as a kid till I was about 19, 20 years old, I trained Goju-Ryu too. But my form, I only have two. I actually have three, but I've only shared two. Okay, form one, Serrada Espadiadaga, Tibon. Form two, Serrada Espadiadaga. Form two, Tibon. And the reason why I named it Tibon, don't get me wrong, the whole concept and theory of quick checking is Angel Caballas.
Yes.
The whole defense apparatus is Caballas. The power distribution, okay, the breathing is Goju-Ryu. And I'll be open.
Okay,
I
great.
will not throw away knowledge I had from a child to a man because I'm training one art. But, understand this. If you walked into Kabbalah Serrada, my era, 80s area, era to 91 when late Grandmaster passed away, close to every master student or advanced student in there were black belts from different systems. Some Kempo, Kung Fu. So late Grandmaster Angel Caballas attracted students with knowledge. They already had knowledge, but they wanted to master a weapon art. So a lot of us came in already, formidable in the arts. We were already training before we got to late Grandmaster Angel Caballas.
So very good, because I see very powerful, powerful during the breath. Everything is important. I see in your form, in your kata. It's fantastic for this, because more power in the movement. I see.
What people gotta realize is, you could have 10 people doing the same art, the same movement, the same basic fundamentals, and it's not just the movement. It's the power, the speed behind it, the footwork, hip rotation, everything else that combines the art to the tip of that weapon, to the tip of that stick, or the last 6 inches of that tip of that blade. You want to cut with that. You want to hit with that, with pinpoint accuracy. And one thing I can say about my GM Angel's art, his era, the way he taught it, it was off of sheer control. The basic fundamentals to the high-level drills, you have lock and block, but there's a higher level lock and block, where you got to counter picking, and all the 12 angles, okay?
Yes.
I've developed the same concept, but different types of drills that I learned in master's training, my own, of what he gave me and how I express it today to my students, and it's in my video series. If people are interested, they can watch it.
Well, I'm sorry. You tell me about this, right? This is a surprise for you,
Yes.
because I just checked, and
Yes.
very good, very good, very good. Yeah, very good. Another question is about why use spade daga
Yes.
in Serrada?
The spade daga, it's the foundation of our system. You can watch the basic fundamentals and you can see the dagger go to work. Angle number 4, so dagger thrust, cut 4. You see, angle number 10. Okay,
Yes.
it's through there. But I've heard a lot of people say, no, you're either just stick or you're just blade. No. The way Angel taught us is understand the basic fundamentals, the drill format, but understand if you have a blade in your hand and you go for a cut, you're not going to slap with the side of the blade. Okay?
Yes.
Common sense. It's not hard to differentiate a stick from a blade. Now, if you see a guy with a big blade in his hand and he's hitting abanicos, that's questionable. Okay, you could question that, but from stick concept to blade concept, if you shoot an abanico, turn it to a cut and pull, that abanico turns into a cut. If you turn a cut here, hit abanico here, but you cut, that's our angle number 8.
Great.
Simple.
Yes. Yeah, very simple, but we need to.
Very simple.
I desire understand. Yes, because it's fantastic when I see, the movement.
Yeah.
You see in the spade daga, it's during the form. It's very, very good. I see. It's fantastic for this.
In the basic fundamentals of Serrada Escrima, you have an inside block with a stick. Same with a blade, but now instead of going stick to stick, you're cutting the arm immediately.
Yes.
Simple as that. Reiterada, fraile. Direct the blade. Follow your knuckle. That's where the edge of the blade is. As long as you train that stick to position as if it's a blade.
Yes.
How hard is it to pick up a machete or a bolo and know how to cut with it? Angel would explain it that way. But the foundation of Serrada Escrima is spade daga. And that's why you see the left hand constantly off of each block, each parry. Put a dagger in your hand, and the way I had to train in private lesson, I went with the dagger in my hand. Okay.
Great. Yes. Great principle. Yes. Great principle.
Cross block with a dagger, cross. Simple. And what you'll notice, the way late Grandmaster Angel taught, a lot of his disarm or his locking, the thumb would represent the dagger. If you trap and you came over, your thumb could represent the dagger, but it could represent two-hand lock. Same thing.
Yes, great. Same principle.
The whole blocking principle is there for trapping and locking, or off the block you're already cutting. Simple as that. But I noticed you've called it tappy tappy. Several of my friends and their arts, they call it tappy tappy. That's still a spade daga if you understand your live hand.
Yes. Yes, of course. Yes, tappy tappy. Yes, it's a Cebuano way. Yes. But we use different, but fantastic when I see some similarity. I say this kind
but
of.
Also understand this. And I was the kind of student I asked a lot of questions, and I used to ask. I was asking Angel one time on his spade daga. I said my countering Angel, my countering with just the dagger off of drilling lock and block, off the lock. You know, you see a lot of Serrada people out there, and you'll see them even lock sometimes 3 times and they won't extend.
Yeah.
Well, doing a basic outside move, and this is what Angel.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
Somebody calling me. Okay, I'll get back to what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, that normally.
Okay.
Okay.
Here we go.
Now, yeah, now another question about the real fight in Serrada, because it's you know, you told me many times that Serrada strain is the same of fight, the same.
Yeah.
There is not train outside, out of fighting. No. Always
No.
fighting,
Same
train, fighting,
principle,
train. It's
but
the same
range
way.
might be different.
Yeah.
And how do you counter with the length of your weapon? Your footwork. Your footwork.
The
The guy got
ground.
a longer weapon than you. How you see our basic fundamentals on the pivoting. Ball of the foot to the heel. That's like medium to close range. But if you're fighting against a longer weapon, that could be almost a full step pivot. So, you know, when you watch Serrada guys and you see their feet that almost look like shuffling, that's pivoting for range, but it's also utilized to pick your opponent. You bring his attention down with a step, a hard step, he reacts, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's also power distribution. Left pivot, right foot back. When I make contact and how I teach my student basic fundamentals and how I learn from Angel Cabalas, when I go for a full strike, my heel's planted on my back leg. What does that do in shifting your hips? What does that do? Gives you full power, short power. No
Short
different
power.
than boxing. No different than boxing. Pivot to throw a body shot, a hook. You know what's going to happen with that left heel. You see?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's where like Grandmaster Angel was meticulous in his footwork. Now, if you see Serrada Escrima out there on video and people don't care about their footwork, I don't think they ever train that deep, or maybe they're a second or third generation student if they got poor footwork.
Yes.
I'm really hard on footwork.
I see.
I'm really hard on my students on footwork.
Yeah, I see your son. Your son too is so fast in the footwork, because footwork is the key. Absolutely, absolutely.
And you watch the greatest footwork guy, that's the late Grandmaster Angel Cabalas. Watch his footwork.
Yes, he's so fast.
Almost look like he's dancing, but each and every movement has a meaning. And I think people don't realize that. You know, some people, I notice they call it papit. But you fight a guy all day long and you just papit, your heels going up and down. That's not what I learned. That's not what I learned. You know?
Yeah, stability and move fast in the right moment. Yes,
very
it's
fast
fantastic.
in the right moment.
So when you have the dagger,
I respect the Serrada out there because they're carrying on a legacy, but everybody has their own. Everybody has their own, you know, and how they want to teach it, or what they can even remember from their training, you know.
Yeah.
What they could remember from their training. But you know, I'll say this, and I'm not trying to downgrade nobody, but when somebody's claiming pure Serrada and their footwork isn't the same of what I learned or what I see my classmates learn and what my classmates or my seniors shared with me, it's hard to credit somebody as a pure Serrada guy if his feet work don't match what I learned and the people around me learned. And, you know, I'll say that. But if they're happy with themselves, more power to them. If you're happy doing that, more power to you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You told me now. Yeah, you told me now another secret. The secret is observe the footwork. If you want to
Yes,
understand if the style is
yes,
good or not good. That's
yes.
the
Because
point.
bottom line, I'm not one to underestimate nobody or no art. But coming from late Grandmaster Angel Caballas, I'm one of the master students. I recognize good Serrada. I can recognize it, and there is some good Serrada out there. Okay,
Yes.
there's good,
Yes,
very
of
good
course.
Serrada out there.
Yes.
But it's the people that are doing something that Angel would probably smack their face, because that's what he used to. I smack his face. Angel used to like to say that. Oh, that guy, smack his face. If you knew Angel personally, you know what I'm saying.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
people
Yeah,
that
I can
knew him
understand.
personally. But also, I look at late Grandmaster Angel Caballas, his demeanor, his character was so powerful. To
Yeah.
do something that contradicts that, man, you got to be careful. He might smack your face in his dreams. Okay,
Yes.
be asleep. Ooh, smack his
And that's
face.
it. And that's it. Yes, that's
Yeah,
it. One finish. You see, I understand you. Yes,
yeah.
fantastic. Fantastic principle, That's the yes, yes.
That's the way Angel was. After class, we'd all sit down on the floor and he'd tell us stories, of what he experienced. With Felicissimo Dizon as his teacher. You got to understand, he started training with Dizon probably at 14 years old.
Yeah,
And the way his training with Dizon, as he explained to me, he traveled everywhere with Dizon. And as he traveled with Dizon, then they would train. Okay. And then
yeah.
if he went to a certain province and there was a Escrimadores there, then the Grandmaster Angel, he'd play. That's the way it was. But he
Yeah.
used to tell me something that makes so much sense. He goes, Darren, I walked through all the different provinces to go see my girlfriends. Angel was a player. He had a lot of girlfriends. So he traveled province to province to go visit his girlfriends. And if he got a challenge, he'd hear it. He'd hear the sticks clack 3 times. Pop, pop, pop. That signified challenge. So in our salutations of how we feed basics, lock and block, flow spar,
Okay.
it's all there. 1 tap for basics, like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
2
yeah.
taps for lock and block, 3 taps for flow spar.
Okay.
And he made sure he taught all of the students that. And I teach that way today. And I know several of the other masters do too. But a lot of the taps signified a lot on how you approach another escrimador. Yeah.
Yes.
But
Good.
getting back to walking through his provinces, he tell us all. You could tell who all the escrimadors were that lost. So how's that, Angel? They only have one arm, and you could tell because they're planting rice. They only got one arm, and they have to use this like that to hold the rice.
Oh
They
yeah.
plant.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But when you look at the 30s, 1930s Philippines, think about that. You know,
Yes.
there was a
Yes.
lot of blade challenges back in those days, and as Angel, as a young teenager traveling to go see his girlfriends, he'd been challenged. He's been challenged. It was the way of life then,
Yeah.
especially going to visit a girl that other village guys like her, and you're going to come from over there to go visit her. No way. It's going to be a challenge. So, honestly, I think a lot of Angel's challenges came by way of women in the
Yes.
Philippines.
Yes. In the Philippines.
17-year-old
And
guy, 18-year-old guy, man. You
yeah.
know,
Yeah. And what do you think about the Stockton situation? Because I see Stockton when I was there, you told me, I never forget the first time I was in Stockton when you told me, Claudio, this is the red area and green area. I say, hey, what happened here? What is? It was
Stockton,
incredible.
you gotta live here to understand Stockton. And for the Filipino community in general, you see, my parents are first generation American born. So, like my great grandpa, they left the Philippines in 1906 for Hawaii. Okay.
Okay.
They had three sons at that time they left the Philippines. He had three sons, my grandma, Tomasa, my great grandpa Marcos, and his three boys. My grandpa Frank was the youngest, Pastor was the second, the oldest was Saturnino. So when they went to Hawaii in 1906 and they worked on the North Shore, that's where he was sent to work. And he was sent to work there primarily. He could speak several languages. So when you look at the immigration to Hawaii, you had Chinese, Japanese, Filipino, Portuguese.
Yeah.
My grandpa could speak all the languages. So he was an overseer at Wailua plantation, sugarcane plantation.
Okay.
And that's North Shore. And it's not far where I host Legacy because that's sentimental to me and to a lot of our friends, it's sacred ground. Okay.
Yes.
Brother Bradford Namoy, he has family buried above in the mountains. So it's sacred ground for him. It's sacred to me because that's where my family left the Philippines and came to Hawaii till 1920. And then they came to Stockton, 1920s.
Yeah. Very great.
So when you look at 1920, and then my parents were born in the 30s, at that time, there was so many Filipinos. My family was first of 400 immigrant to come to San Joaquin Valley at that time when they left Hawaii. And at the time, there was no Filipino women, none, hardly any. And two of my aunties that were born on Oahu, I believe one was 8 and one was 11 at the time. There were two of like only maybe 10 women for how many thousand Filipino agricultural workers in the area. So it was good but dangerous at the same time. There wasn't no women for the Filipino men, okay, unless they married another Filipino woman. And it was against the law for Filipinos to marry a white woman back then. It was against the law. And those that did marry, like my grandparents, they had to go, I believe, to Texas to get married and then come back. Okay?
Yes.
That's that whole era. And, when I speak of the Filipino community, the first generation kids, I'm talking about Sifu Dan and Asanto. He went to school with my parents. He knew all my uncles. They all went to school together. They all came up together. The Filipino community, they had their own basketball league, all Filipinos. They had high school boxing, which was a lot of the Filipinos, including my father. They were all part of boxing, basketball, flag football. It was Filipinos coming up in that time with the segregation and the prejudice they had to deal with here in San Joaquin Valley.
Yeah.
And it's ironic how so many of the first generation Filipinos became fighters, boxers. We used to call them smoker fighters. I got Uncle Sleepy Caballero. He was a smoker fighter. My dad was a boxer, but he was going after Olympic. During that time at Golden Gloves, my dad was going for Olympics. He got influenza, and everybody in Stockton that had influenza at that time, they shipped them off up in the mountains to a place called Bret Hart, and they quarantined you there. And that's where that's what ended my dad's boxing career, that right there. And by the time he got out of Bret Hart, he had to get a real job, you know. He had to get a job because he already had my brother, my sister came on the way too. So, you know, his boxing career got put on the side and he had to get on with, you know, various companies here in Stockton. But that was the same thing for many Filipinos in my mom and dad's era, you know.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't understand the struggles, the prejudice of what they went, you know, up against. You know, my family, my grandpa, my great grandpa, what they had to deal with here. And it seemed like there was more trouble within the Filipino communities. They'd handle things in a whole
Oh
different way.
yes. Oh yes.
Because, you know, as my mom grew up, her father had one of the biggest ranches, and he grew crops, you know, out in the French Camp area that's now Western Ranch. He had hundreds of acres that he used to plant and plow. And he was a very prominent Filipino at that time, which is how my father met my mom. Is my grandpa Matt was his boxing manager. So part of my dad's training was running from Central Stockton all the way to French Camp to their 3-story mansion out there, you know, in French Camp. And that's how he met my mom. Okay.
Yes.
As my grandpa, you know, he was a prominent man and he was interested in boxing. So I guess he used to help out young fighters coming up, and my dad happened to be one. But like I say, influenza took that away from my dad at that time. But, you know, from there, my dad continued being a martial artist. My dad, he not only boxed, but he trained Goju, and
Okay.
then he trained under Angel Caballos too. So did some of my uncles and cousins, you know.
Your
And
family of fighters, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you know, I was about 18 years old at the time, and I was already playing again with Serrada. But when my dad taught me Serrada, he only taught me up to angle number 5, but he gave me 3 counters for each angle. Bruce Lee hit.
Yeah.
I favored the chocolate stick.
Yeah.
And then at 18, when I got a job, my cousin Joe was an advanced private student under Grandmaster Angel Caballos. So I got a job with him, and he introduced me to the Serrada he was playing. I said, yeah, my dad taught me some, you
Yes.
know. But yeah, I like
Yes.
to see your stuff. And then I pulled out the practice chocolate sticks. I said, see how you do against this. Well, he didn't do good against chocolate stick, but I appreciated what he showed me. I appreciated a lot of the locks, a lot of the disarming,
Yes.
and me being a fighter and having altercations in the streets of Stockton. I said, you know what? That'd be good. I get caught with these chocolate sticks, I'm gonna go to jail or go to juvie. So I really, that right there was the takeoff point of Serrada Escrima. I was 18, but I was working swing shift.
Yes.
So at that time, me and Joe were training. We get a 1 hour lunch, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and we shoot. I worked at the end of Harding Way at the time, so we get on Harding Way. The academy was right there, so it was a 5-minute drive from Angels Academy. And I remember there was 2 different places. One I think was California Street, and then it went back to Harding Way, the school you came and visited me at. And either were a 5-minute drive from where we worked.
Yeah.
And it's ironic because some of the guys training there I knew from my Uncle David's neighborhood. Okay. I knew from my uncle's neighborhood. And my godfather, my dad's brother, my godfather David, they lived Columbus Park area. Well, Columbus Park area is where Angel Caballos lived too. So as kids, the whole neighborhood knew who Angel Caballos was because he would demonstrate on his porch or in his yard. and all the kids would watch, and many of them became students. And just, Master Gabriel Assumption, Master Jerry Persiato, they grew up in that neighborhood. And Johnny Caballas, first time I met Johnny, I was about 12. Because I used to stay at my uncle's house. So I got to know everybody in that neighborhood.
Yes.
And later on, we're training at the academy too. Okay.
Yes.
So,
yes,
very
Great.
good friends. I knew a lot of them as a kid. We used to walk all the way across downtown Stockton from Columbus Park area all the way to Oak Park on Alpine. Okay. Holding our towels, walking through downtown Stockton, big group of us. We go swim all day at Oak Park, and then we walk all the way back home. One of them is Master Gabriel Assumption. Yes, I was a kid, and they were friends with my cousins, and we were kids.
Yes.
Sometimes rowdy kids, but we were kids. It was a different kind of life. What I mean by that, very adventurous, doing things we should, wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and everybody would get their dogs. And because a neighborhood kid got beat up by hobos beat him up bad, Whole group of us wake up in the middle of the night, sneak out with our dogs and our sticks and whatever, BB guns, and we go hunting down the hobos who beat up our friend. That's what I mean. A different kind of kid at that time. If somebody got one of yours, you're gonna get one of them. That's just the way it was.
Oh yeah, great history, because
Yeah.
your life is so incredible, because many influences, no, from your family, and then the Master Caballes was was amazing.
Yes.
Excellent. I see.
He's one of the
Really,
most unique
really
men
fantastic.
that I've ever met in my life. I've been around great martial artists, and I think what struck me about Angel, first of all, he was a small man, but he was a man that had power and strength and speed that wasn't normal. And
Yes.
during my training, I knew what good was. I knew phenomenal teachers. My sensei, Rodney Hu, had some of the fastest feet I've ever seen. Angel Caballas had some of the fastest reflexes, hand strength, locking strength that I've ever felt, because his art is a lot of the locking. Caballas Serrada C-hand. It's trapping, locking, takedowns, breaks. When he demoed on you, you felt it. And to me, he was extraordinary. Very extraordinary on how he could handle a bigger man. And that's what really grasped me, is he's so proficient. He's the grandmaster of this art. He's so proficient. I want to learn from him, and as already being a martial artist, and I felt I was good to take care of myself. That man showed me something that was above of what I thought I already understood.
Yeah.
And that's what really, really got me into it. But then again, Claudio, what you got to understand is I got 3 sisters and my brother, my older brother. And when I turned about 17, 18, he had to talk with us. And I was already training several years in Goju-Ryu. But my dad said, listen, I'm proud that you both are training Goju-Ryu. And at the time, my dad was training me boxing too. He had a whole backyard set up as a boxing gym, and that was part of my training. That was, Darren, get in the backyard, we're going to train. So, okay, let's go. Heavy bag, speed bag, swivel bag, jump, rope, focus gloves, all of that. Footwork. Used to tie. I had a huge backyard, Claudio, my dad's house. He still lives there. Huge backyard. from one end to the other is probably 35, almost 40 yards.
Yes.
And he used to tie a rope, and then later he went into rubber band. And the lower he did it, the more it worked. My bob and weaving all the way across the backyard, you know.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know, dipping, yeah. And I used to have to go through that kind of regimen. And that was to build up a lot of my leg power, my pivoting, everything else. So, you know, I was well-rounded in boxing from my dad's teaching, but I never got in the ring. But did I use it? Yeah. I've used boxing on the street, you know. I won't lie about that. It'll work. But, you know, that's a huge part of my training was my dad. Boxing, Goju-Ryu, of what he taught us, and what little bit he taught me of Kabbalah Serrada. It all led up until that age. I made a decision that it was either my brother or me take on Filipino martial arts. And from that time, I fully dedicated myself at about 21.
Sure, great.
Because I was still helping my brother. He opened up a school in his garage in the beginning. I used to go over there, help out, train with his guys, train with him. And, you know, from there, I just went solid Serrada Escrima. That was it. Mid-20s, that was it. Total dedication, but I never forgot what I learned.
Yeah. So great. Great. Good history. Good lessons for me, because you taught me a lot of things now, because history influences the Goju-Ryu too. I didn't know this. So a lot of things. It's fantastic. I observe now, it's 1 hour. 1 hour fast, you know, fast. We start in 1 hour. That's it, finished. No, you know, I'm thinking that 30 minutes. Yeah, what 30 minutes? When I listen you hypnotize me in order to understand the history, and then it's fantastic. It's fantastic. So a lot of things to do. So to understand. I am happy. I am very happy. I'm very happy to share this moment, because for me it's now I open my mind also in Serrada, because I understand the history, the same principle of footwork, and then the influences of boxing and other things. It's amazing. I think too amazing in the war, during the fight. Yes, and your son is your legacy. I see, because your son is included. Everything.
My grandson, he's gonna be good. My grandson.
I see a great son. I see a great son. He's a spotted dog. I see. He's smaller, but so he start fast. You know, it's fantastic, amazing. So, Grandmaster, so thank you so much, because for me, it's, really privilege to interview you, because you never talk in the interview before this moment. So I'm so honored to be here with you. And I hope that people like this, because the history and your movement, your principle, for me is for the people, I am sure it's so very, very, very important today. Very important, because you share with us a lot of things, a lot of.
Yeah, Stockton is Stockton, bro. Stockton is Stockton, and they didn't call it Little Manila for nothing. It's a deep history of some of the first immigrants to come to Stockton. The hardships, what they had to do to make a living, underpaid, everything. So much history comes out of Stockton. But one thing I do know is it brought with it a lot of great escrimadores. And they planted their seeds here. There's different Escrima organizations throughout Stockton that are active, alive, strong. And that's from that early generation that came here in the late 20s, 30s, And we just try to keep the legacy going. And we're not trying to let nobody forget about the history of Stockton and the great Escrimador teachers that planted their seeds here, A lot of great Escrima came out of here, Thanks to Seafood Dan, he got a lot of this information out. Mark Wiley, he got a lot of the information out.
I remember him. Yes.
Yeah, you know, it's a rich history, and I still live here. You know, I still live here. There's a few of us that still live here, but you know, you look at a lot of the Serrada guys that are out there. Not many live here. Still,
Yes.
not many still live here. You know, so you know, it's good that they took it away from Stockton, but we got a Stockton pride too. You know, all of us that teach Serrada Escrima here, you know, we're all part of the legacy of late Grandmaster Angel Caballas.
Yeah.
Not necessarily we gotta like each other, I'll be honest, but we gotta be proud of what we're doing. Okay?
Yes.
Is that good enough to say?
I think so. I think so. It's fantastic. A lot of things. So it's fantastic. A lot of principles you told me now. So it's fantastic. So Grandmaster, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much, because you are the founder of Legacy. You know, you represent a lot of masters because you supported a lot of masters, me included. So I am.
It was my calling, brother. It was my calling. You know, it's just my calling to help FMA. You know, I'm not just about Serrada Escrima. I'm about all the different Filipino martial arts, and I try to provide an opportunity for them to document their arts. You know, and you're doing the same in Europe. So you know, we do our best. I know there's times we can't make everybody happy, but we do our best, man. You know, a lot of people got to realize we're just doing our best. You know, and most of all, getting to meet new people, you know, it's been fabulous. If it wasn't for Legacy, I would have never met you. You see, but there's several other Escrimadors I would have never met them if it wasn't for Legacy. You know, I'm glad it just. I don't know. One day I was thinking about it. I says, you know what? I see all these write-ups and bios of past Escrimadors. You know, writing and reading is fabulous, but when it comes to actual live footage, verbal communication, watching the teacher speak, then it starts coming from your heart. So to pick up a book and read it is good, but to watch somebody talk how we're talking now, I think people get a better understanding of who we are. So why not provide that opportunity for various Filipino grandmasters and masters to film themselves, talking about their arts, representing their arts, talking about their lineages, and however much time we can offer them, you know, and then have that documented, not only for their students, but for their families, you know, for their families too. And I think that's where it hit a sentimental thing for me, you know.
Yeah, so great. I didn't know this. This is another news, because you told me now why you created Legacy. Now, I didn't know this. I didn't know this principle. There's another principle. A lot of principle in my mind today. So explosion, you know, my mind is explosion. I'm crazy for. So really, really, thank you. You know, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Grandmaster. Thank you so much for the time dedicated to me and the people, all people that they are here to see you and listen you. Because a lot of things, and I'm so really honored to be here. So thank you. And then
thank you, brother. We'll run into each other again one day once things settle down. We're just on with the plans, you know. We'll keep going. But you know, for anybody watching this that is interested in being a part of the Legacy, please contact me. You know, the majority of my communication is Facebook. And I've just this past year alone, I've talked to so many great people, you know, of FMA. I've gotten to meet several different people just through Facebook. And, you know, once opportunity opens up, oh my goodness, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge, you know, and I just hope I can host enough versus the people I talk with and creating opportunity to make it happen and bring everybody together. And a lot of that's timing. You understand that. A lot of it's timing. Communication and timing is key to make a legacy happen. And that's something I never stop doing. I'm constantly communicating with so many different people on a day-to-day, you know. East Coast is very interested in legacy. I've never done one on the East Coast. Never.
Thank you for to create it, the legacy, because you demonstrated me and the other people that no exist the best system of best teacher of the best. You give it to the people the possibility to share and put out the name and the styles. It's fantastic, really fantastic for me. So thank you also for the European masters that are present here. Thank you so much from us.
And I'd like to say one more thing. Well, to Brother Rene Latosa, come on, brother, get well soon. Okay, to GM Dan Medina, come on, man, get well. And great conversation as always, bro. And thank you very much for this opportunity. And we'll talk soon. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Grandma. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. See you soon. See you soon, Grandma.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.